Going out from a narrow place, hoping the response is a little bit more expansive.
Start at the 7:30 on Zoom, and they just sent you the link so you guys can watch it on your computer.
I will build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we from love, from love. Olam chesed yipaneh. Da 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 da. Oh, we must build this world from love, from love, from love, from love. Build this world from love.
Thank you, Laura. I'm on page 25 in the Maksur. Boy, a crazy, noisy year has descended with the sun beyond our sight. And in the silence of this praying place, these praying places, we close the door upon the hectic joys and fears, the accomplishments and the anguish of the year that we are leaving behind. What was but moments ago the substance of our life has now become its memory. And what we did must now become woven into who we are. And it's Shabbat. And on this day we shall not do, but be. We are to walk the outer limits of our humanity. On this day, heat and warmth and light must come from deep within ourselves. No longer can we tear apart the world to make our fire. And on this day, but a breath away from our creation, we are to breathe in a world from which we may no longer feel apart, but as close as eye to blossom and ear to the singing in the night. If you're on the page and in the room, join me in this one paragraph. We are here on this Rosh Hashanah Eve, poised somewhere between what we have been and what we wish to be. We are here at this season of teshuvah, of turning, of returning to the self we have covered up behind the roles and masks with which we have learned to protect ourselves. Yeah, masks for sure. We are here in celebration and in search.
I really want to hear
in
the
judgment
rabbi's
and
sermon tonight.
embrace.
That's a big thing for me.
We are here in celebration and in search and judgment and embrace. We are ready to confront ourselves and the world in which we find ourselves this night. We seek to open wide the windows behind which we have hidden and to send forth hand and heart to learn where we have come, what we have become, and what we hope to be. A blessing first for this new moon, and then for the new Shabbat and the new year. Welcome to everyone, online and in person. Eve, you want to come up and light the candles for us? Or Chadash Beor Kadmon Tinaseh Nafshi Elecha Bishmei Chodesh Bishmei Chodesh Bishmei Chodesh Tishrei. Let me hear that into a new day guide my steps on a new way, that my life reflects the joy of Tishrei. And we'll try to have Elizabeth on the call, who is hosting our Zoom, lead the blessings for Shabbat and the New Year.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav,
All right, we'll come back
v'chivanu
live and we'll do it together.
b'chadlik
Gather in the light and
ner,
peace of this
shel
Shabbat and this new year and
Shabbat
hope with it.
v'yom tov.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat v'yom tov. On page 28, the Shechianu, being glad we're alive, we made it to a new year.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Okay, so things are a little different this year. For those of you online, so we're going to try to balance, participation from people not here remotely and people here. So there is a way to split your screen, and shift should be a way, hopefully, to make the other people that you might be wanting to see larger. And if there are words that are projected, to make those smaller or larger as you need. So try to experiment with that. And if Elizabeth if you can find her on there, you can send her a chat and she can help you navigate that. For those of us here, we're going to try other ways to stay connected, both to everyone around and to one another. And I'm hoping that the music helps us do that. So please do sing and help us fill this room with the presence of all the people who would be here. Okay. Muted, masks or not, let's sing together. Page 62, and we'll rise. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed.
Look through the Zoom, see the other names, and look around the room and see the people we've gathered. We're gathering as a community again. Hallelujah. Many things to praise, including the coming of night and the changing of seasons. Amari Varavim, and you can be seated.
Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. Your word brings on the light. separate the darkness from the light. Baruch atah Adonai Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. Your word brings on the night. You make the days pass by. The seasons go and seasons. You separate the darkness from the light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'arim v'aravim. תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. May the one who rules the universe keep us safe forever until the end of time.
The beauty and wonder of the cycles of nature grounding us in a loving universe, knowing that we are abundantly, infinitely loved. We are love embodied and called upon to love with all of our hearts, with all our minds, with all our being, and with all our song. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. The Shema is on page 76.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך. ובכל מאודיך.
Love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart. Teach them faithfully unto your children. Speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. Bind them for a sign
kind of a hard year. We've tasted a little bit of Mitzrayim, of Egypt. We could use a little liberation and freedom. And this is a time, this Rosh Hashanah, a new beginning of highlighting our capacity to choose a new way. And we remember that we are not the first to have that option, to choose with courage that option. Our ancestors leaving Egypt, centuries of slavery, found a way to choose a new path. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai.
Mi kamocha nida b'kodesh, Noah tehilot, Sefer Lev.
Hashkideinu lechaim, Hamideinu lechaim ushalom. So we have the courage to gather. We gather for comfort, to let our sleep be easier, knowing that we are supported by one another, and also to inspire one another, to rouse one another from slumber like a shofar. So we're going to have you repeat after me this text that our ancestors
Put in before this silent meditation on page 98 in the Machzor from Psalms. Blast a piercing note upon the shofar for the covered moon, the new moon,
for the moon, for our festive holiday. And I'll have you rise with me, and we'll do it as a call and response in Hebrew. Please rise. Tiku v'chodesh,
Tiku v'chodesh,
shofar,
shofar,
bekesel yom,
v'keser le'om,
chageinu,
Hageinu,
ki chok l'Yisrael hu,
ki hok l'Yisrael hu,
mishpat le'Elohei Yaakov.
mishpat le'Yaakov.
Page 104, or transliterations can be found on page 324. We'll begin the Amidah together, the standing devotional prayer, finding our place.
Adonai, Safatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Open my lips, beloved one, and let my mouth declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Ve'Konei Hakol Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Himot U'Mevei Gula Livnei B'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Zochreinu Lechaim
Remember us
Melech Hafetz B'Chaim
for life,
Ukotfeinu B'Sefer HaChaim Lemanecha Elohim Chaim Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Zrat Sarah.
Amen. I invite you to take a few moments of silent reflection, quiet prayer. You can move around, you can sit, you can stand as you please, turning inward.
You can continue and just mute me online if you don't want to hear the poem. Autumn. Inside me, the season is autumn. The chill is in me. You can see through me. And I am sad, but not altogether cheerless, and filled with humanity and goodness. But if I rage sometimes, then I am the one whose rage is shedding my leaves. And the simple thought comes sadly to me that raging isn't really what is needed. I'm on page 101. The main need is that I should be able to see myself and the struggling, shocked world in autumnal nakedness, even when you and the world can be seen right through. Flashes of insight are the children of silence. It doesn't matter if we don't rage aloud. We must calmly cast off all mere noise in the name of the new foliage. Something has happened to me, and I am relying on nothing but silence. When the leaves, laying themselves one on another, inaudibly become the earth. And if you can see it all, as if from a height, when you can shed your leaves at the right time, when without rage or passion, inner autumn lays its airy fingers on your forehead, a prayer for peace. Page 124.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim.
Shalom Rav, an enormous peace we need, and we need some healing in our world, in ourselves. We'll offer a prayer for healing, and I invite those of you online to include names in the chat, and names for the prayer for healing mention healing for in the chat so I know to read that name. And you can also send messages to each other because the rabbi won't know that you're passing notes during services and you're good. And Yom Kippur is coming up anyway, so you can atone for it.
Avraham, Yitzhak, veYaakov. Mishaberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. Strengthened by the power of your love.
We pray for healing of body and spirit for so many, too many. And those we know to name tonight are Maureen Spiegelman, Ron Solomon, Carrie Urban, Susan Levin, Lawrence Fox and Stuart Fox, Ron Saltzman, Yehuda Binyamin, Susan Stearns, Mel Sturm, Genevieve Kramer, Louise Spector, all those who are suffering from COVID-19, Pastor Kalb, Marty Rosenbaum, Luna Jaffe, John Clover, Golda Flowers, Linda Fogel, Sandy Schneider and Linda Shaw, Nikki Shaw, Eileen Saltzman, Judy Sherman, Angela Fitzgerald, Edward Cohen, Cameron Hopping, Betsy Appel, Terry Noonan, Madeline Snyderman, Karen Batayelet, Deborah Shibelhut, Sally Feeder, Robin Amadei, Jerry Goldberg, Kate Olson, Adam Giordani, Ben Dover. Other names to include here. May they know the love and support of family and friends, and may their loved ones and caregivers be granted strength and hope, and may our prayers be heard.
Hear our prayer,
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 hear our prayer. Claire
hear
Krause,
our prayer.
Jim Brown, Patricia Katz,
Bless us as well.
Kinley Kennedy Harrison, and David Gardner. May all those we've named and those we hold in our hearts be granted a refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, a healing of body and a healing of spirit and soul. And together, let us say, Amen. Well, Happy New Year! There's nothing happening in Times Square. The fireworks are not going off. And here we are. And here we are. What a journey this past year has been. I think back to the beginning of the year. A year ago, this past month, my family and I went out to a wedding in London. My daughter got married. I mean, there's a signal that the time is flying, right? Well, anyway, I was thinking about London. And if you know London, you know they have an underground public transportation system, right? The trains. And maybe you've ridden on the tube, as they call it, right? Well, if you have, you will have noticed signs and frequent announcements over the speaker system saying, "Mind the gap. When exiting and boarding the train, please mind the gap," right? You can hear it, I bet, right? Well, the phrase keeps replaying in my mind, especially these last 7 months. Mind the gap. It fits so many of the context of what's going on. I mean, social distancing and quarantine, right? Am I honoring that safe 6 feet of space between me and you? Am I fitting my mask properly, pinched around the nose to close the gap? Right, for 7 months now, we've had to limit, if not eliminate, direct contact with extended family members, friends, our community, our congregation. The gap is real and personal, and for so many of us, it's often painful. When I spoke about the pain of loneliness and the lessons of solitude last year on Erev Rosh Hashanah, I had no idea. How could I? How profoundly isolation and solitude would challenge us this year. We have been tested. I'll be very careful what I say this year. The gap between expectations and experiences is so very humbling. Mind the gap, indeed. And it sounds simple, right? Mind the gap. Watch your step. But there are so many gaps to mind. Gaps layered upon gaps. Gaps in access to quality health care and education. The growing wealth gap. The persistent income disparities. Systemic racial inequalities that perpetuate and exacerbate many of these societal gaps. And so on, and so on. So many cracks, insecurity, and injustice exposed this year. A deadly virus, an economic crisis, destructive wildfires and hurricanes. These are global challenges that should unite us as human beings. Instead, especially here during an American election year, these challenges that affect us all, they have become politicized and polarizing. The gap growing unnecessarily. The gap between what is and what should be, between us and them, this is real too, and can be just as frightening as a global pandemic, a global climate crisis. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Again, I'm going to be careful what I say this year. Tonight, I want to invite us to stay focused on this, what's before us, this moment, what we're experiencing and witnessing. It's Friday night. It's Shabbat, which means the earth is still spinning. So fast that I lost my place. Yesterday's sun is setting, has set here in Colorado. We have others joining us from the West Coast. But a new moon is also rising. And these are relatively frequent phenomena that with mindful awareness can still leave us enchanted, filled with wonder and awe. And maybe even with the chutzpah to declare this moment a new moment, right? A new year, a new day, to add this year to the count of years by which we measure change and track progress and seek purpose. By being here, wherever you are, by choosing to sanctify this moment together, to declare our shared desire to make this year, this day, each day count, as our ancestors have done for millennia, this is worth noticing and celebrating. This is a gap being closed between one year and another, and to that I say, Amen. Another Amen. I've been celebrating Rosh Hashanah with you, with Beth Evergreen, for more than 15 years now. Amen. And as you know, if you've been here for a while, we do things a little differently every year. What can we say? We're different. But never has our tube ride through the high holiday season been this different, right? I mean, look around. Most of us are tuning in through our computers at home. Hi, everybody. And a few dozen of us here gathered together in person, socially distanced, spaced out. We are at once closer and more distant, right? Mind the gap. The world this year is already so new and different. Whether you are a veteran or a newbie at CBE, there's a chasm between the high holiday services we are accustomed to and the sacred service that we're trying to co-create tonight. For one thing, the sermon will be shorter, so hey, not all change is bad. And writing a shorter sermon is hard, it's true, but I think the most challenging change for me this year is that everyone other than me and Francesca is either masked or muted. That means I can't really hear you. And even if I can see you, I can only see part of your face, or I can't see your body. So I don't know if you're smiling or singing or tapping your feet, or you have to go pee. Before COVID, I didn't fully realize how important, how essential that interpersonal biofeedback is, especially when I'm up here on the bema. As Martin Buber might say, in that relational dynamic between you and me, I find God, or godliness. And that is what moves me in communal prayer, moves many of us to a place of elevation, of transcendence. Now, for some rabbis and service leaders, being able to mute the entire congregation all at once might be appealing. And it's true. Maybe there's one or two of you that have helped me understand that appeal, and I'm really just kidding. But if you know me, you know that I have never really been comfortable with the performative aspects of praying together. And these circumstances make services even more performative and less relational, or harder to make that connection. So before we get going in this marathon of services that we've programmed out for ourselves, I need to ask for your help. I need you, each of you, to help me close this gap, to feel that connection, despite the obstacles. And I'm really not sure how. I'm relatively new to the technology. In fact, the sound and AV system in the synagogue right now is less than a week old, so we're getting used to it. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, you guys, helping us navigate this. But I suspect if we're going to close this gap, that it starts by simply acknowledging that this is different, that there is a gap, And that the gap between here and there, between you and me, between each of us, is there for everyone. And if we can admit that there's a gap there, and it doesn't just apply to this gap, we'll have that in common. And this shared uncommon experience becomes a potential bridge, a way to bridge the gaps.
Let's talk about the gap again.
Mind the gap. The verb here can mean a few things, right? It starts with awareness, being mindful, witnessing that the gap exists. And then we can also ask ourselves, do I mind the gap? Am I bothered by it? Do I mind having to attend services virtually from East Coast or West Coast or from across the street? Do I mind attending with a fraction of my community in the room, with a mask on, or any of the other things that make this year different? Well, I mind. It's uncomfortable. And I want to say that I think that discomfort is a part of change. And we can practice getting used to that discomfort together, whatever together means. So I want to invite you to work with me at embracing that discomfort. The one that's right before us now, looking around on the screen, around the room, recognizing the difference in this holiday. Because this is what change feels like. It is usually uncomfortable. And paradoxically, minding the gap, feeling our discomfort, is also a way to bridge the gap because we're all uncomfortable. And our capacity for patience with ourselves, with one another, with the technology, and compassion, holding our discomfort without judgment, this can help us, may be essential to help us close the gap that we feel acutely this year. So let me start this New Year celebration by thanking you for being willing to tune in despite the obstacles, to show up in spite of the gap, use your computer and deal with technology on Shabbat. Tonight we are reaching out across the expanses of time and state lines and uncertain change to board the same train, both minding and mending the gap. And I'll close with this, just a visualization. I want you to imagine yourself, you and me and all of us, underground in a subway station. You can pick your city. Our train is pulled up and the doors have opened. Lots of different doors. You can choose which door, which car you want to go into, which on-ramp is right for you, the music or the words or the quiet, the ability to mute the rabbi at any moment, the familiarity of the tradition and the music and the innovation and the change, the sense of obligation. I'm supposed to do this, and the promise of freedom, of choosing a new path. There's a door for regret, a door for gratitude, a door for sorrow, a door for joy. Each one invites us onto the train. And we're eager with anticipation. We're getting ready to get on board. And then all of a sudden, in a lovely female British accent, a disembodied voice coming from everywhere and nowhere, both cautioning and encouraging, calls us like a sweet shofar, like a teruah, Yom Teruah, with a friendly reminder to one and all, please, my friends, as you climb aboard, mind the gap. Mind the gap. Shabbat Shalom. And Shana Tova. And Shana Tova, I do want to welcome with blessings a dear friend, Laura Berman, of the challenges that COVID has introduced. It has also created opportunities for us to daven with people in Portland, Oregon, and everywhere else. And Laura is going to offer us a song to help us connect and close the gap.
Shana Tova.
Michael.
We are crossing the great divide. There's a distance between you and I. We'll get home by hell or fire. I don't know how, but I know why. The great divide. Fascination with a careful stride. We are hoping to make good time. I don't know how,
Maybe it's coincidence,
but I know why. Hold on to me, hold on to me. I will lose myself till I am free. I am free, and all that's left is me and you, and the way through the great divide. Well, I want to be by your side, and I know you're not far behind. I don't know how, and I know why. Hold on to me, hold on to me. I will lose myself till I am free. I am free, and all that's left, all that's left, hold on to me, onto me. Oh, lose yourself till you are free. You are free, and all that's left is me and you, and the way through the great divide. The way through is, the way to you is through the great divide.
Quite the voice, quite the voice. Hello, everyone. Lashana Tova. My name is Jay Kramer. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I'm here on behalf of your board of directors to thank you for being here and to thank you for forbearing this past year. someone on the board sent around a picture of a hot dog restaurateur who had their outdoor sign that said "Good Riddance 5780," which I thought was pretty humorous. I just want you to, I've been a member of the congregation Beth Evergreen for a little over a year. We came here through kind of a long route. I'm a native Denverite, born and raised on the east side. My daughter Darcy is in attendance this evening, and she married a Wheatridge boy. So we became West Siders, and it took us a couple years to sample some of the venues to carry on our Judaism. And Beth Evergreen was a perfect fit for all the reasons we can all share. So I just wanted to let you know that the board is here and the board is active. I'm very impressed. I just joined the board, so I'm the newbie, but I'm very impressed with the caliber and the commitment of the board, and it's good hands and in good hands, and we all know and love our rabbis, so you can rest assured. So thanks again for bearing this year. Not all is bad. We've all had to appreciate the little things in life, like it's now a lot easier to find a seat in the synagogue. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Jay, and again, thank you, Laura, and everyone. I'm seeing your faces, and it's comforting to see you both in person and on the screen. Am I starting this one? Ein Od, we're going to close with a prayer that was written for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and decided to be used at every service to close. Let's rise for Aleinu. Page 1202. We also recall the yard sites anniversaries of passings this year that were Sarah and Nina Penner. And if you're connected to one of the ladies that are sites, this stands. James Vaughn, Adam Jackson, Martin Sim, Murray Weiner, Maurice Spear, Arthur Lieberman, Christy Finley, Aldair Revez, Bob Waller, Raymond Buckley, Samuel Schindler, Peggy Winkler, Sarah Rohr, Arnold Picard, Lee Sobelman, Jonathan Friedman. And if you have someone that you'd like to include, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we heard passed away this week. We don't say Kaddish for her until her funeral, but we certainly mourn her passing on a lot of levels. Sam Kleban, anybody here have another name to add of people who passed away recently? Okay. May those we've named and those we hold in our hearts be remembered and honored by our prayer. The mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom, is on page 1215 and 1216, and I think it'll come up on the screen. So those recalling a yard site or who are in mourning, rise with me, and at the communal prayer, we can rise all together for all those who have passed away this year. I'll also add Rhoda Gerbitz and Rana Jablo. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divrach yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon, uv'chaye dichol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'bizman kariv, v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam u'lomei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitalev, v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. You may be seated, and Laura will offer us a new melody for Oseh shalom.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol Yoshve Tevel, Vimaru, Vimaru, Amen. Lai, 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 Ose shalom bimroma, Ahuya ase shalom aleinu, ve'ako Yisrael, ve'ako yoshve tevel, v'imru, 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 Amen.
Eve Mills is our executive director. We get to celebrate a full year plus with you. Eve, come on up, share some announcements and greetings.
Executive Director.
Shana Tova, everybody. So good to see everyone. Thank you for coming, everyone here tonight and at home. We are so grateful that you're sharing tonight with us and being part of the Beth Evergreen community. We really hope you're all doing well in these challenging times, and know that we're here for you, your CBE community. If you need anything, please reach out. And we have a mitzvah committee, and we can send them out to bring meals and comfort you in ways if that's what you need. And also many thanks to everyone who helped make tonight's services so special. Elizabeth, if you're out there, can you put that slide up? There's so many people involved in making the services happen, and we put a slide together, and hopefully it'll, oh, here we go, yay. So many people, and thank you for making tonight so special as well. So tomorrow, I just wanted to let you know that we have 2 services in the morning. One starts at 8 a.m. outside behind our building, and followed by indoor services at 10. And both those services will be limited in person and also virtual. So feel free to sign up on Zoom and join us that way too. And tomorrow, in lieu of our annual Rosh Hashanah luncheon, we will hold a virtual social on Zoom at 11:30. And I think Rabbi Jamie is hosting that. So tune into that as well. That's another separate Zoom link. And later, after that, between 3 and 4, please join us for our first ever, maybe, drive-by to say hello and wish each other a happy new year. Rabbi Jamie, the CBE staff, and various board members will be stationed in the parking lot, and all you have to do is drive your car up. We'll have masks on, and we also have a small gift to give to you. So please join us, and we'd love to see your faces.
And you can
honk your shofar horns.
You can honk your shofar horns. That would be great. So after that, we have our family service at 4 o'clock. That's tomorrow as well. And then also, I just want to let you know, on day 2 for Rosh Hashanah, we are celebrating outside in Kittredge Park, 10 a.m. Bring your own chair. And Tashlich will follow that. And special thanks to Penny Drucker for leading services on the 2nd day of Rosh Hashanah. So we also welcome your feedback. We knew we had some technical difficulties tonight, but I think overall our new sound system is working great. I wish you were all here to hear it because it sounds fantastic. But let us know if you have any comments, send us an email or chat. That would be great too. And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Shabbat shalom.
And yeah, I know Judy is representing the newly formed Tikkun Olam Committee. Judy, if you don't mind, I'm going to abbreviate your announcement for you just now because of the time. We don't want to keep people on Zoom too long or in the same room for too long. But the Tikkun Olam Committee is really reforming, and on Yom Kippur we'll do small groups and some reflection about how we as a community really want to engage the work to be done at large in closing these gaps at large. So please do keep an eye out for and emails out, and join us on Yom Kippur morning as we have a discussion collectively, both online and in person, about how to activate and facilitate the efforts and the passions, the fire that's burning, and putting out the fire and closing the gap together. And thank you, Judy and Allison, for spearheading and co-chairing that committee. We want to leave you with, of course, and send you forth with a blessing and an opportunity to bless one another. So this blessing is traditionally a priestly blessing. The priest gets up and blesses everybody, but it's also a blessing that the rabbi said, well, there aren't any more priests, so let's all bless each other at home. So that's what we're going to do. So I invite you, as we do this blessing, and we'll do the musical form, to pick somebody on the screen or in your home or nearby you, or somebody you haven't met, you know, with a safe distance, and you can do the priestly handshake as well, right? To offer this blessing for a sweet new year to one another. Oh, I probably start this.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
You can join me in English again. May we be granted a new year of blessing and security, safety.
Yer Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
Together, may the light of the source of life shine graciously upon us and gracefully through us.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom.
May the Holy One, reflected in each other's faces, in your face, grant you peace, elevate you and grant you peace.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yer Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Hashem lecha shalom. Ve'asem lecha shalom. Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Umituka, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Umituka. Yeah, 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 Shana Tova and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Well, that was fun for being, weird. But really great to see you. Shana Tova. May it be a sweet, sweet season. Hopefully we'll see you in the morning. You can leave the Maksurim, the prayer books right on your chairs. So we'll have as few hands as possible handling them. So we'll have the one person collect them. And thank you for being here. Be safe, drive home safely, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.